Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Forgotten Generation podcast with your host, Troy. And welcome to season 2 and our first episode of 2025. For those who haven't listened to this podcast, it's about speaking to young people and inspiring change makers who is a forgotten generation to have a voice on issues that matter to them to amplify their voice. With me in today's episode is a youth activist, the co founder of Impact Warwickshire's Young People's Forum for SEND, and a Midlands Youth Advisor. Tobias, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course, thank you for having me, Troy. So I am, as Troy said, Tobias. I'm overall a pretty busy person with everything that I end up doing. My day job, was may say, is I'm a medical student in Norwich, so I'm a third year medical student. Hopefully, be a doctor, being able to inflict change on a wider level in a few years' time. But in terms of youth social action, yes, I have my fingers in lots of different pies, I may say, between setting up Warwickshire's Young People's Youth Forum, which is a participation group, working with, well, charities such as kids and other ones where I've been able to go, had some great opportunities to go to talk to change makers at the highest of levels, which is wonderful. And as I say, really be able to do quite a lot of different things through speeches and teaching healthcare professionals and social work professionals about the things that are important to young people, which is really important to me, actually. The trying to use us experts by experience, I like to say.
Wow, about such an incredible intro of yourself, Tobias. So good to have you on today's episode. At the kickstart of the new season, and what is your youth social action?
So, as I kind of said, mine does take a lot of different forms as I do kind of a lot of different things, but the main goal of it all really is giving a voice to young people. It's taking a step back and looking at us as experts in our own right. I always tell anyone I can that we are the only ones that know what it's like to live today and experience what we're experiencing today in 2025 as young people. When your parents and grandparents were young people, not only did they have to go to the library just to write an email, and if there was a phone call, their parents could listen upstairs on the phones. The phones were all connected and things. It doesn't happen like that anymore. So my youth social action is looking at really using all young people and kind of making their passions and interests heard by change makers across all kind of different levels. It's mostly around disability and mental health. And I do the work kind of through, well, participation work with youth groups and social groups at university. I'm the president of the Disabled Student Society. So we set a bunch of events to not only have a peer support group for young people, but also be able to get people's views, students' views on kind of accessibility of areas to feed back to those in power to make positive change. And yeah, as I say, I do think that together all our voices are stronger. So I'm quite lucky that I've had lots of different experiences and been able to build up my confidence as a speaker and a leader. And I find myself, and lots of people have told me that I'm quite supportive and empathetic. And so those kind of make a wonderful combination to listen to those that struggle and be able to really enact change on all different levels.
Wow. So empowering, because honestly your social action is incredible. And so you touched on earlier about on the kids on Charity UK. So is there
Mm.
any other organizations that you're passionate about and that you work with?
Yeah, well, so I feel like if we talk about everybody I work with, we might be here for quite a long time. So I'll keep to the few that I really kind of proud and passionate about. And so I say the president of the Disabled Students Community at UAE is my pride and joy at the moment because that is supporting people locally and in person, which is wonderful. But I do a lot of things online. That's joy's kind of post COVID. Co-founding Impact, the young people's participation for a group in Send from in Warwickshire, where I'm from, is something really important to me because that is bringing together young people with special educational needs and disabilities that just never get brought together, and it's a minority group of people that have been able to grow that group to have representation in the local county council and in decisions and co-produce documents, and it's really wonderful. So that's one of the things that I really love. And as you kind of said, kids, I work with kids quite a bit. We've been to different conferences, and more recently, I went to London, spoke to a lot of MPs launching a toolkit for disabilities and helping them understand what's important to young people, which again is a wonderful opportunity. And let's say, kind of, I'm very lucky to have been kind of headhunted from one to another, because I've actually also been able to speak to members of the House of Lords. I've done both sides of things. I've done House of Parliament and the House of Lords about transitions, which is something again I'm very passionate about, is transitioning for young people, because it isn't focused on anywhere near as much as it should be.
So remarkable, and the things that you've done and the things that you like on experience is just so inspiring to so many of us who are actually wanting to have that voice and wanting to make that change. I think it's absolutely incredible.
Definitely, that is kind of what is most important to me, I think, Troy, is that actually it is I can use my voice, but I'm only one person. And if I can encourage other young people and help them build their connections, actually together we are stronger. And as many young people as we can get involved gives as many voice to as many people. And everyone is different. Everyone thinks differently. So it is wonderful just to be able to include other people's voices and hear from other people.
Love it, love it, love it. And so what has very much inspired you to have that voice and today, and what's made you want to make that change?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because you kind of keep following it back as, oh, well, what happened in my journey and where did it all begin? And to be honest, it's quite hard to know. I've always kind of been a passionate person, even if it was just about like tennis when I was younger. That's all I wanted to do. Um, Everything just kind of fell into being. I did have quite a large mental health breakdown when I was kind of 14, and that was difficult. And then I managed to get diagnosed with autism quite quickly. I jumped I don't know how long the waiting list was, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, in a couple of months. And as I say, after some hospital stays, CAMs, and quite a bit of medication, I managed to get myself stable again. And it was then that had an opportunity to kind of look back a little bit and go, well, what could have been done differently and what could change for other people. And I say I'm by far no means perfectly healthy, as it's a journey to recovery for lots of people. But my mum actually helped set up a small local conference. When I say small, I think there was about like 15, 20 people, and asked if I wanted to talk about my experiences with autism. And I was like, actually, why not? And I did. And there's a video of me, I don't think I've shared it anyway, but a video of me with my headphones on and reading off a piece of paper. And as a yeah, say as a little, I don't know, I must have been 15 at the time, not very confident. And then someone there was running a charity, and they went, we would love to have you at one of our events. Do you want to come to a slightly bigger one? And I was like, sure, why not? And they're like, oh, we'll even pay you. And I was like, oh, you're going to pay me? Of course I'm doing this. And from there, it ended up with doing different charities work. Because at one of those conferences, there was a charity called Kids that went, actually, you're wonderful talking. We would love to have you and have your voice. And from then, I kind of realized that I was actually quite good at it and I enjoyed it. And the more you do something, the more confident you have with it. And it's changed really from that little, very quiet, tucked away boy with his headphones reading off a piece of paper, shaking in front of 10 people, to being able to speak in front of hundreds and speak in front of very, very important people and come on to podcasts like this today that actually reach such a wide audience that potentially, well, hopefully I'll meet lots of people, but potentially I'll never see some of these people. So it's quite a daunting thing. But I did, as say, just fell in love with advocacy and sharing my experiences and other people's experiences, just to try and reflect about what we've been through and how can we move forward, make a better tomorrow, more ideas, more experiences, as many people as we can get involved. That's what's going to make the difference, isn't it?
No, it is. It's just honestly, and your journey is just so empowering, and how you literally was I'm that boy with the headphones. And then now you're a boy that is making that difference, making that change, and work on different people, working other young people and collaborating
Definitely.
together on the issues that you care about.
100%. I think that it's quite a daunting thing to lots of people, and probably quite a lot of the listeners today will be listening, going, "Oh, well, that's so amazing that you've set up this podcast, Troy, and you do so many wonderful things." And the lots of people we've had in kind of the first season of this do so many amazing things, but it's important to remember that we all do start somewhere. I did not wake up one morning and decide to waltz into the Houses of Parliament and speak to Keir Starmer. That's not how it works. We start at the bottom, we grow ourselves, we learn about what we're interested in, we learn different ways, we learn what we did well, what we didn't do well, and say it's okay to do something, not enjoy it, and go, actually move on, try something else.
Exactly. And that is so true. And so what do you actually think professionals need to do better to support young people with disabilities, but also neurodiversity as well?
Yeah, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because when we talk about young people, even well, every young person's different, no matter what level, they're different. And with disabilities, neurodiversity, and mental health, that is only exacerbated. I think that what's most important to me, which is, as I say, why I've taken a job in teaching, not a full-time job, a little bit of a part-time job, just teaching healthcare professionals about our experiences, is listening to young people. It is just understanding what's important to us and who we are, and taking that kind of personalized approach. You will always kind of hear, and people usually mean it in a good way, that disabilities are superpowers. And I do agree in some circumstances that we bring in kind of unique insights and strengths that other people really don't have. But there are a lot of downsides, and we need support in a lot of areas that other people don't. And so I think that when we kind of call it a superpower, I think that it creates a bit of a false narrative with professionals sometimes, because it means that if you think about superheroes, they don't need support from anybody. They go do everything amazingly. And in some cases, sure, I can do that. But actually, in quite a lot of cases in day to day life, I need support, I need mentors, I need advice, I need help with these things, mostly behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. So I think that it's remembering really that we do have our own struggles and everyone's different. And as a professional, all you can do is create a strong connection with the young person, fully understand what they want, what's important to them, and support them to achieve what they want to, and not what you want them to achieve. And by no means am I going to say disability is not a barrier. It's a massive barrier, but it's something that can really easily be passed, um, with lots of understanding and adjustments. And when you take the time to listen to young people learn and have kind of a person-centered, holistic approach to them, support outcomes become so much better. We can help young people be the best they can be. And I think we're all in agreement, really, that that's all we want. Young people being the best they can be, their confident, happy, healthy selves, to do whatever they want to do in life.
And that's exactly what I think a lot of professionals, and I also feel like the government don't really know and understand sometimes, and how actually a young person should be able to get that support that they need, who has a disability, who should be able to like or get that support if they want a job, or get a how because like maybe get a house, even get a good.
Exactly. I agree. I think that it's part of the really hard side of things is that in lots of cases there is support out there, but finding that support and actually accessing the support. If the support's not accessible, it's not really support, is it?
No, it's not exactly, and it needs to be accessible for everybody.
Exactly.
And so, what are the issues you think young people are facing in general?
Oh, well, quite a few, don't we say? I mean, whether young people worry about exams in education, or their future of jobs in the workplace, finances, whether you're going to have a roof over your head or food on your plate in the kind of aspect we are at the moment? Is it the effects of social media and things, or is it the wider issues such as politics, climate change? We could really go on all day, couldn't we, talking about all the issues that young people face on different levels. And I think that sometimes, well, almost all the time, you can't solve an issue overnight. But what it is listening to young people and going, actually, what is important to us, and how can we start moving in the right direction? And for a lot of young people, and most importantly, I think it's a lack of kind of control and power. And now, giving young people all the power will never work, because we can often be quite idealists. I remember, say, when I was 10 years old and you want to be a professional tennis player. And now I look back and go, I really wasn't that good. I managed to win a couple of tennis tournaments, but I really wasn't that good. So giving young people all the power doesn't really work. But it is something that I think really should be shared, power sharing, to help the young people shape the future, really inspiring them, with these kind of large, really large problems that young people have to try and wrap their heads around from an early age, about kind of being forced through exams and on that conveyor belt of all that matters in school is your exam results. And then once you've got your exam results, you need to do your next exams, and then your next exams, and then you're going to get a job, and then you're going to do it in the workplace, and you do this, you do this, you do this. And there's not that time to step back, reflect, be calm, go, what am I good at? What do I enjoy? And I think because of the constant worries, really, that we'll all face as young people, with all the things that I listed about finances and exams and social media and politics, climate change, however much healthcare, whatever we want to say, really is an issue young people will face, is that the problem is they all intertwine and create an environment, really, that's unsafe, inaccessible, and just leads to worry and mental health difficulties in young people. And unfortunately, it seems that we've not really clocked that it's something that we want young people to get involved with to help change those things. If you get what I'm saying, actually, lots of people are going, oh, this is what we're going to do to change it, but none of them have gone, actually, what do young people think? And
Yeah,
that's what's most important.
and exactly. And I think literally most of them don't really understand those issues like us young people. And they literally assume things, but they're not asking people because about the issues that we're passionate about.
100%. One of the things that I am, well, as I would say, passionate, one of the things I'm very passionate about is with that teaching, I do a lot on participation. And it's something that really is important to me, because participation comes in lots of different forms, and it's quite a complex thing to try and explain. But in the most simplest of terms, participation is getting people participating in something. And there's a really helpful kind of tool out there, model of participation, some may say, and I would really advise people to look it up. I think it's called Heart's Ladder. So it's a ladder of participation that has lots of different steps, from tokenistic, where they kind of pretend to have participation. So this might be where their school wants to do a fundraising event for something, and they just kind of put children there wearing t-shirts, even though the children don't understand what they're fundraising for. All the way up to the very top, which is where young people have come up with an idea, taken it to kind of experts and professionals, and launched that idea as the best form of participation. And that's what I ended up doing with Impact in Warwickshire. Is I came up with the idea. I went, hang on a minute, there's a group for parents to all talk to each other. Why is there not a group for young people? I went to Warwickshire County Council. They went, well, you know what? We agree with you. Let's set one up. And we worked together to set one up. And that was, I know how long ago that was now, maybe 3 years ago. And since then, we've come a long way. We've helped a lot of things. We're involved in interviews. We're even award-winning international short films, which is
Wow.
really, really interesting. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the award now is, but it was a international award for about short films. So for anyone interested, the film is Wrong Size Fits All, which is about a bit of a play on words from One Size Fits All, which is about just trying to share our experiences as neurodivergent and having to go to school, and the challenges of school that we face every day, that we feel actually schools don't listen to. So yeah, lots and lots of exciting work going on.
Wow, that's incredible work that you've just said. And so, like, what would be your On the Forgotten Generation on podcast quote to sum up your journey?
Oh, I think it's quite difficult sometimes, isn't it, to come up with ideas, quotes, and things. I think that I would say something unique and meaningful. You did send me it beforehand, but I you never really come up with something with this. But I think that for me, what's kind of most important to remember is that it's a journey. There's loads of opportunities out there for you to get involved, but them being out there doesn't make it any easier. It's really hard to get started. And some people say, oh, well, just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? But actually, it's quite anxiety inducing, frustrating to try and do all of these things. So I would say that actually, one of the things that I kind of really want to focus on is finding something you're interested in and go for it. It's not as much a quote as it is inspirational side of things, really, of actually, do you have an interest in advocacy and sharing your stories? Well, can you make a blog post? Can you do something like that? Are you interested in design and have an idea for a website for young people to get supported? Why not give it a go? Have a look online about other people that have done the same things. That's all it really is give it a go. There's always an area you can follow. The best thing that happens is you succeed and you become rich and famous, which I think we would all love to happen. Me included, absolutely love that. The worst that happens is it's a bit of a flop. Nobody really uses it. But you look back, you go, actually, I learned from that. I really did go, that gave me some more confidence. I've learned a bit about design. I've learned what's not worked. I learned the little things that were useful. Let's give it another go. We're all young. We've all got, even if you're not, you don't class yourself as that young, potentially, some of our listeners, you are still young. You still have plenty of years ahead of you to be able to give things a go. And if you don't like it, oh well. If you do, a winner. You've found what you want to do for the rest of your life. And as I say, everyone here that is listening has great ideas. You're all amazing people with capabilities to make absolutely massive change in the areas you're interested in. No matter whether you are like me, a 14-year-old kind of shuddering at the idea of speaking in front of 10 people, to somebody, I guess, like me now, happy to stand up and talk in front of lots of people and be involved in teaching and different roles like that. There's always a place for you. And it's just taking a step today. Why not? Have a quick Google search about opportunities around you or an area that interests you and go for it.
That was a great, like, honestly, that was like a great, like, motivational speech. That was, Tobias. Love that.
Yeah, I don't do quotes as much as I do inspirational speeches, I'm afraid. I'll give them one more top tip before we leave. I think that my top tip as well is finding adult or mentor or somebody that can help guide you through things, because it can be really isolating. It doesn't have to be an adult, it can be somebody in the year above or a few years older than you that's maybe had some experience in that area. It could be your school guidance counselors, or maybe it's your parent or one of your parents' friends, but somebody that can kind of be objective and kind of keep encouraging you, holding you accountable and things, because you have lots of ideas. They have the lived experience of actually how does it really work, because we would love government to work certain ways, but they don't. So having somebody to help guide you through is also an absolutely wonderful thing. So as I say, final top tip from me today is definitely go away and see if you can find yourself somebody who's happy to be a mentor and help you look and shape all your ideas. It's always great to have a sounding board for somebody to talk to. I think you can agree with me there, Troy.
I absolutely agree with you on that one. I can absolutely agree. And so what would be literally your like one advice to anyone who would want to be part of this whole journey but don't know how to?
I say the bit of advice is that it's I say it's very difficult, because the more you look up, the more you get, well, there's wonderful opportunities out there, and sometimes they take really long application forms, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes they want people that are already kind of shaped and have experience, and all of these things are quite difficult to do. But the advice, all I can give you is find what makes you happy, follow it. Find what you enjoy and follow that, And if you're a bit like me and struggle with finding what you enjoy and finding happy, I don't do emotions very well, getting better with them, but actually just maybe think about what you're good at. What can you offer that other people can't? What is your unique experience that nobody else has got or few other people have got? Is there an area that nobody's really spoken about that you really think should be spoken about, and follow it? How can you use that to help shape other people? Do you want to say make an app? Do you want to make a website? Do you want to make a youth support group? Do you want to be part of a school council? There's loads of different opportunities out there. Most of them are very daunting, but just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Well done, Marty. That is amazing advice for any listeners who really want to make that change, make a difference, and just in general, like actually your voice matters. And I really hope that this episode has really inspired you all to really and go out there and champion for what you believe in. So thank you so much, Tobias, for coming on today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and I will .troy, and also on X I will _Troy. Tune in to next week's episode.